Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. A bit of an unusual video today. I am going to be saving what's left of my Socotra Island planting. This used to have my desert rose in it, and I can't grow desert rose. I've tried many times and they always die. And I think it's just that I don't have the right environment for them to grow in. I have the plant room in winter, which is too humid and they rot away and die. The basement is too cold. They die from the cold in the basement. The house is just too cool too. And we have cats and I just can't keep them in the house. So I've kind of given up on growing desert rose. It's just one species I just don't have any luck with. So this is what's left of my Socotra Island planting. You can see the desert rose dead here, all the others. I've stripped away the rocks from the planting. I use that in my my Portulacaria afra Kubu Island landscape. So all that I have left in here is these Rat Tail Jades, which I don't know if you can bonsai them if they get a woody trunk or not. We'll find out today. And there is a little aloe growing in the back here that has some promise. It has some branching on it. So I'm going to remove the aloe from this big planting today and have a look at the Rat Tail Jades and see if I can make a bonsai out of a Rat Tail Jade. Here is a look at the planting. So one of the reasons I want to separate this all is that it's in a big pot. And if I separate them, maybe just keep one Rat Tail Jade and my aloe back here, I can fit them in the plant room where they'll do quite well, or in the basement. I kept this in the basement last winter and it did quite well. I could keep this in the plant room and see how it does this year. I'm sure it would do quite well there too. Yeah, so the desert rose are gone. Poor things. Yeah, I really liked this planting when it was all at its peak, and it made it to a show, so I got a nice photograph of it. But it's time to take it apart and reuse this pot for something else. So these Rat Tail Jades are an interesting species. They grow really well. They kind of get a bit smelly. They smell they say they smell like cat urine. And I don't think they multiply. They don't like spread with runners under the soil. I think I planted several clumps of them. And I'm just trying to see if there's kind of a woody trunk on it at all. Pretty hard to see in here. And they multiply really easy. Like if I plant this, they grow. Just like any jade, you just stick a leaf in the soil and they grow. So I'm trying to see if there is a bit of a woody trunk on it. Maybe I'll just have to pull it out and see. And then I've also got to get this little aloe out back here. I'll try digging the Rat Tail Jade out. There's a few stones in here I could remove for starters. I think that's a stone, yeah. Kind of held in here with roots and stems. I think there's roots or something growing across. Maybe these jades do spread out. Well, I think it's roots holding the rock in. Well, there's another good stone for Kubu Island. Maybe I'll just have to pull on the Rat Tail Jade and just see what's going on here. Well, I see roots. Okay, so there is, you can see in here, there's very thin woody trunks on it. So they haven't thickened up much. I think this is, a couple of years old. And it looks like It looks like they do spread. The branches reach out and then they root again. But it's not as invasive as like sedum or something. If you plant sedum, it pops up everywhere in your pot. I think the Rat Tail Jade could be controlled as a kind of a realistic kind of ground cover plant. Yeah, you can see they've spread out here and rooted. So this is, you know, little tiny stems, and it's created quite a giant plant here. So let me get my tray underneath and I'll pull it out. Okay, let's just see how big this thing is. It has quite a large root system. Just trying to get the soil out. Yeah, so it's quite a big plant. Tiny little trunks on it and a fairly good root system. So I think it's worth potting one up, and maybe I can create a little mini bonsai out of it. I'll try. I'll put it in my little tiny pots and see how it does. I've got out some of my mini pots, and I think these would do. I find succulents grow best in these tiny pots. I was thinking this one because this Rat Tail Jade will kind of grow like a cascade, and it would look good in this tall pot. There's my name on the bottom. Yeah, that would be good. And maybe I can try some of the other Rat Tail Jades in maybe one of the other pots and see how it does. So let's do that. Let's get it planted into a mini bonsai pot. I'm going to start by pruning. So I've got 2 trees here. So let's start with this smaller one for starters. So I will remove the soil and I'll do some root pruning, quite a bit. And then I need to, oops, it rolled off the, yeah, then I need to do some top pruning. So I've got kind of a woody trunk here, and it comes up into some branching. So I will kind of just prune it off to a rounded form. For starters. There's quite a bit of branching on it. So there's a little mini tree. Let me just get rid of all this soil. I grow these in just pure sand in these little mini bonsai pots. It seems to work well. The sand holds enough moisture to kind of keep the trees alive and thriving. Yeah, so there's my tree, a very tiny little jade, or Crassula. Okay, so let's get this into the pot. There is my pot, and there is the tree. So you can see I need to do a little more root pruning for it to fit into the pot comfortably. So I'll do a little root work here. Trim back some of these spreading roots. This root isn't going a very good direction. I gotta prune it away. That getting pretty close to fitting in the pot. I think I can fit it in nicely. Now the upper structure, I've kind of got a central leader here. This branch could be pruned away. It's not a very good direction. And this one is kind of crossing everything. This one could be reduced. And I don't think I need this double branch here.
I could prune it off shorter and see what happens. And I don't like these parallel trunks here. You can see there's leaves popping out on the woody part. I could reduce it back further. I'm trying to think where the front of the tree would be here. Yeah, maybe here. Using this as a central leader. Which would mean these have to be pruned off shorter. Try there and here. And this back one I'll prune off a bit shorter too. I think that's kind of the, a fairly good structure. I could go even shorter. I think I should. It's kind of straight in this section. Let's go short. Like that. Very, very tiny. Okay, so I'll get a drainage screen in the bottom of my pot and some sand, and I'll get it planted. I have a little piece of drainage screen, so I'll cut it to a circular shape. Even this fine window screen mesh looks pretty big in these small pots. I definitely couldn't use a Chris Marshall drainage screen. So that should fit in the bottom. Once I get it positioned. Ooh, it just popped out. Hold on. I think my circle, even though it's small, is still too big. I've got to reduce its diameter. Maybe that size is better. Okay, let's see if I can get it positioned in here now. That's better. That sits in the bottom. Okay, so now I've got to get my sand. Okay, so I have my white industrial sand. It's used for sandblasting. And I'll fill the pot up. Or not fill it, but put a layer in the bottom. Like that. And then I can plant the tree. So the front of this pot is either... Oh, it's coming out. My drainage screen shifted. Let's try this again. I might have to wet the sand in the bottom so it doesn't come out. It shifted the drainage screen out of position. Okay, try number 2. So let me get some more sand and I'll wet it. That's a lot of water. And then I'll put the wet sand in the bottom and it should stay in place, theoretically. That's working. My drainage screen's still in position. Okay, this is working. I've got a layer of wet sand in the bottom, so now I can kind of top it up a bit to about there. And now I can plant the tree. So I think I'll do a little more root pruning. I think some of these longer roots could still be pruned back a bit. Like that. That's pretty tiny. So I'll position the tree. Put some sand around it. Oh, I was trying to find the front of the pot, wasn't I? That or here. I think that was a good front. Yeah, I like that as a front. So I'll put some sand in around the tree. how is the position in the pot looking? It doesn't look so good. I need to shift it over a bit. Maybe that's as close to central as I can get it. It's not very good, is it? There's some root holding it there. I've got to trim that back small. That should allow me to get it on center more. Yeah, that's better, I think. Okay, let's see if I can do this. This is very, very tiny. Okay, how is that looking? That looks better. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to add some sand to the top. I think I'm spilling more sand than I'm using, but that's okay. Okay, and then I've just got to tamp it down a bit. It's kind of at the back of the pot a bit, but we'll see how it does. Okay, I think I can water it now, which I'll try and just kind of drip the water on it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That was a lot of dripping. Top it up again. I'll have to use my little miniature watering can when I water this. The big one is just too big. Or just use the misting bottle. That'll probably work quite well. Okay. The little Rat Tail Jade is planted. Let me just kind of wash the pot off a bit. That's draining through nicely. Yeah, that drains really well. Okay, so there is one little Rat Tail Jade planted. I think that looks pretty good. I'll show you a close-up if I can. Let me get the sand off the pot here. Yeah, there's a close-up of the little Rat Tail Jade. I think it'll do quite well. I'll put it in the plant room with the other Crassulas and Portulacaria, and it should do quite well. Now I will get the next Rat Tail Jade. This is a bigger one, so it'll go in a bigger pot. Here it is here. So I'll start by trimming it back. It's way too big. There. And I think that'll need some root pruning. So this has kind of a double trunk, which should look good in the one pot. So I'll start pruning the roots away, kind of getting them close to the size I need. Okay. Clean this area up a bit here. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual plant. I'll try and get this soil away. So this has definitely a thicker trunk. You can see it's almost double the other little one I planted. trying to get the soil away from the roots here. Yeah, that's got a fairly nice little trunk. I think the species will work really well for tiny miniature bonsai. I have a feeling. So, let me pick out a pot. So I was thinking going with the larger oval pot made by me in 2024. So, into the pot it goes. So I think I need to do a little root pruning, definitely. So I'll get rid of these ones that are going straight down. Not getting rid of them, but pruning them back. And these long ones out here can get pruned back. This one's sticking up can get removed. This one can be shortened. This one's too high. Now, how is this looking for the pot? It's not too bad. That would fit in there quite nicely. Could probably plant it on a bit of an angle like that, maybe. Yeah, I think keeping the one trunk kind of vertical and the other one and the roots stick up. Be nice if I could rotate it a bit. Bit more root pruning. Well, we'll try it like that. I think that's going to be fairly good. There's a look at it. So I need to get a screen in the bottom. That's fairly good. It's pressed down there. It's staying in place. And I'll get a base layer of sand. And again, I'll have to wet this sand because it just, otherwise it just flows through. Like it's doing now. And once the sand is wet and the roots start growing into it, it won't drain out the bottom. So that sand is sucking up the water now. So on this tree, I don't really like this branch sticking up here. I'm just going to do a final kind of pruning here. I've got a branch here that's crossing. Well, this one's kind of broken off, so let's get rid of that. This one's kind of crossing. I'll get rid of that. I think this will be the front. This one's too long. Get rid of that. This one could be taken back a bit, and so could this one. This one, I'll keep it, just prune it back. This one's too long. Too much going on here. There's two kind of crisscrossing branches. I think I'll definitely take this one off. And maybe the whole thing. Keep it simple. I think that'll do. Okay, let's see how it fits in the pot now. How is that looking? I think somewhere about there is good. So I'll just kind of push it down into the wet sand to get it at the right height. That's good. And I can add some sand around it. Spilling lots again. And I'll water that in. Wait for the sand to soak up the water. That's getting good now. So there is a look at mini bonsai number 2 of the Rat Tail Jades. I think I have a little too much sand in here, but I'm sure that'll kind of drop the level as I water it. It'll run off. But yeah, that's a look at little jade number 2. I think it's looking quite good. Okay. Now, I have more Rat Tail Jades in here. Let's have a look at them. So I think this is all just with no roots, and this also. There's a few roots that have struck from some of the branches, but that's basically all just compost. I'm sure if I planted like a little cutting off of it, it would root and grow. But I have another one back here. That's getting pretty big, so I'll pull that out. That's pretty big. So there it is there. Let me see what's going on. So that is just a branch that's rooted there. But the main trunk is down here. Okay, so let me prune off the top here. Looks like you can get some pretty fine branching on it, which is very encouraging for a mini bonsai. Yeah, this one's quite a nice looking little tree. I'll keep this one a little larger. Okay, so let me get the soil removed from the roots here. It's got a fairly good fine root system on it too. There's still a branch attached here. Okay, let me clean up and we'll do the root pruning and top pruning on this tree. Okay, here is a look at the third jade. So I'll start by doing some root pruning. Prune out this big thick one, all these fine roots that are too long. Get it down to kind of a reasonable size. Now, I've kind of got twin trunks here that are a bit kind of growing parallel to each other, which I guess is okay. It's almost like two trees growing beside each other. Now I better pick out a pot before I start kind of pruning it. I've got a little oval one. It's pretty tiny, but I think that'll work. So yeah, a little tiny pot. So let me do some more root pruning here. Get it to the point where it'll fit in the pot. Still a little big. Yeah, that'll look quite nice. Sort of a slanting style like that, I think. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, now I better do a little top pruning. It's kind of cool, the structure, but it does need a bit of sorting. Like there's one growing across everything here. I can take that out. This one is growing across everything. That can come out. That divides from 1 to 2, but I can shorten it so I don't have big long straight sections. Dead branch there. That's not too bad like that. Maybe just this one could be shortened. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. Okay, drainage screen is in. I will get a base layer of sand in the bottom. Level that out a bit. Maybe just with my finger. Now, I don't know if this pot's going to hold this tree very well, but we will see. Well, it might work. It's a pretty small pot. I think I need a little more root pruning. I think this one is sticking up a bit. I think that's better. And I may have to put a little stone beside it to hold it in place. And I do have a little stone that I can use. So let me get this tree planted. Sure is a tiny pot. Put the stone in place. I don't know if that's a, yeah, I guess it is a stone. Could be a piece of cement, maybe. Something like that. I think I need a better stone. Something a little heavier. I think that is a piece of cement. Let me see what I can find. Okay, I found some stones. There's a little one here that I think will work. Yeah, I think this one's about the right size. So I'll just place it on there. So there is a look at the third little tiny bonsai. So I'll put that away. And I'm going to plant one more, and that is a cutting, just to try it out. So it's just a clipping off one of the others. So I'll put it in this pot. Okay. And then I'll just stick this one in and we'll see how it does. Just like that. Give it a bit more water. So I'm quite excited about this species as bonsai. I think for a little mini bonsai, the leaf size will be perfect. And yeah, I think they'll be really good. Time will tell, but... Okay, so that is all the minis planted. So next I need to get this aloe out of here. So let me do that. Wow, they spread out. Wow, that's quite a root system on this aloe. Okay, good. It's got a fairly good root system. Yeah, you can see it's developed some branching on it. These are pups, and the pups grow roots out of them. And in nature, the pups kind of fall off and become new plants. But I will grow them as branches. You just have to be careful you don't bump them too hard or they'll fall off. Okay, so I'm done with this pot now. It can go back in the poly house, and I'll clean up and then we'll work on the aloe. Here is a look at the aloe. So it's even developed a little pup down low there. So a fairly large root system, and that may be because I didn't water that planting much. It's pretty dry over the summer. So I'll start the root pruning. I'm going to go quite severe. I don't want it in a great big pot. So let's just snip off the roots. To about there. That's looking a little more compact. And I've got to find a pot for it. It's quite top heavy, so I'll need to probably plant it. I won't plant it deep, but I might have to put some stones around it to hold it up until the roots get established in the pot. So I need to find a pot. I have a small pot here that I was thinking it might look good in. I think it would. I don't think I need a big pot for it. I'll just trim off a few more of these roots. Yeah, this pot was given to me at the last meeting of the Middlesex Bonsai Society. So thank you very much. Yeah, I think that'll be quite nice in there. So there's a look at the tree now. So I'll get a drainage screen in the bottom. Trim it to an oval shape. Okay, that'll work. And I'll use regular bonsai soil. I might just reuse the stuff that it was growing in. I'll get a scoop of that. Or I could try the cactus and succulent mix that was given to me by Bonsai Gaiden. Let's try that soil. So put a layer in the pot. And I'll show you the ingredients in this soil. It's quite a list. So here's the ingredients. We have pumice, coconut coir, lava stone, akadama, zeolite, fish mulch, leaf mulch, worm castings, Huplazo granula basalt, wollastonite dust, and mycorrhiza. So quite a list of ingredients in this cactus and succulent soil. Well, that's from Bonsai Gaiden. Okay, let's get the tree planted now. So I think this is a nice front for the tree. So I'll make sure all the roots are in the soil. How does that look? It could come over to the left-hand side a bit more, I think. And I may have to do a little more root pruning. That should work. Yeah, I think there is a better position in the pot. Okay, I will fill it in with soil now. And I will make sure that's worked into the root system once I find my tweezers. I can't find them. I'll have to use the end of my root rake. So again, I'm going to put these trees into the plant room. They won't take up much space. And they've been kept cool outside here in the poly house and the greenhouse. So they should react again like it's spring and grow. Time will tell. That's in there quite firmly. I don't think I need a stone at all on it. Okay, how does it look? Let's see. It looks fine. I think it's time to give it a water. So here I go. Start with a light watering. It's draining really nicely. Very, very nicely. I'll just water it till it kind of washes the dust out of the soil. Yeah, it's not draining as fast as some of the, pure bonsai soils, but I think that'll do quite nicely. I'm going to put all these trees on a kind of a layer of damp sand, so I'll fill this under tray with sand. And this under tray was a 3D printed one. It's lasted very well over the years. As long as you use the right plastic. And I use a chopstick here and I can level it off. I think I need more sand. Shallow trays always take more than you think. I think that'll be good. And I'll just wet that down a bit, not too much because there's no drainage in this tray. I just want the sand to be damp. I think that's good. And then I can place all my trees on top of the sand. It just keeps a bit of humidity. The clay of the pots can soak up a bit of water. There's my little cutting. My twin trunk. There's a lot of sand on it. Twin trunk. My little single eventual cascade one. And my kind of slanting style. Like that. Here are the trees I worked on today. So there's the aloe in the big pot. And down here is the cutting of the Rat Tail Jade. Over here is the twin trunk, or 2-tree planting. And in front is the one that'll be cascading eventually. And behind that is my kind of slanting style one. So I think this species will be very promising. Small leaves, good growth. They're a Crassula or a Jade. I think they'll have promise. They should grow well as a small little bonsai. Time will tell. I'll keep you updated on their progress. I've tried growing other trees in small pots, ficus and a few others, and I haven't had much luck. It seems the succulents are more suited to these tiny pots. I'm sure if they were your only trees, you could keep them well watered and quite happy in a small pot. But when I have so many trees, it's hard to devote the time to these little mini bonsais. So the succulents are definitely, for me, the way to go. And I think this Rat Tail Jade species will be very promising. I think we'll see how these go. I think they can be miniaturized really, really nicely. Small leaves, tight compact growth. I think they'll take pruning and I should be able to grow them quite successfully. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.